Hey, it's ShopTalk, baby. This is the show where it's okay to be you. We're talking from Yale to jail and from the church house to the pimp house. Nothing's excluded on ShopTalk. So if you don't have a phone, I suggest you borrow one. Call in and voice your opinion live every Saturday morning from 10 a.m. to 12 noon. Yeah, that's right, 10 a.m. to 12 noon. Don't forget to ShopTalk with your girl, because right here, we keeps it real. Hey, good morning to you. How we doing today?
I'm fine. How are you today? My voice is not with. I wake my voice up.
Wake it up. Good morning. Like, let's get this mug started. We got a lot going on today. I told you guys what the topic was. I usually don't tell the topic, and y'all want to know why, because people be stealing it. Stealing it before the time come. I'll be sitting there like, they didn't use my doggone topic. But we're going to talk about shades. Shades today, racism within your own race. Do you experience those things, being of a darker complexion, being the hues of it all? How about that? That's what I should have sat there and titled it, the hues of it all. Being lighter complected, the benefits. Being darker complected, the benefits. Natural versus relaxed hair, what they call it, the creamy crack. We just go shop talk, but let's start with the hot topics. Why are they bothering Kanye?
What's going on now?
He's right, though. He's right. So Kanye is kind of on a quest where, like, he's on the road for Jesus, taking Jesus on the road. That's what he says. I'm taking Jesus on the road, and now people are criticizing him. Interesting enough, the man is smart. He's very, very intelligent. He said it's really interesting how when they thought that he was going crazy, he got all the publicity and all of the, he's doing this, he's doing that. The tabloids were there. He just kind of got the attention as long as they thought that he was going crazy. And in the hospital, what is Kim doing? He said, and now that he's taken Jesus on the road, people have an issue with him as far as like the music that he's choosing, and it's pretty much unfavored. Not unfavored by me, but he said it's, get this, mainly unfavored by his own people. Stop. Okay, we got everything ready. Look, I'm like, we got everything ready, the bell and everything ready. It's mainly he feels that he's being unfavored by his own people, us.
No surprise there.
Yeah. Now tell me. Let's elaborate.
First of all, what I would like to say to that is we've put our faith into a genre. What he does for Jesus should have nothing to do with what he does as an entertainer. Who we are as Christians and what we do as Christians should not be considered a form of entertainment or a term, a form of a publicity stunt or anything like that. We're mixing something here that shouldn't be. I agree with him.
You agree with him? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. What's your thoughts?
Okay,
I know it's early. We started real early. Usually I just run down the hot topics, but now I just got to ask questions.
I do agree to a certain extent, but Kanye, I don't know. I don't know if he's going to a higher place or if, like you said, he need to go to a net house. It's just like he goes from one extreme to the other, and it's like I still don't know about that one. I just don't.
I would say from the history of Kanye, always have been a believer. And I'm not, his parents, educated people, the whole nine, which has nothing to do with him being a believer, if you're educated or not. But I wanted to put that out there. Always has been a believer. He was going through what he was going through. It could have been like the transition to to a higher power. You know what I mean? Just don't know. However, I'm not one to judge and say where he's at. When, remember there was an ongoing joke that everybody that was with the Kardashians, allegedly, make sure y'all heard that.
Allegedly.
Was, they kind of went different.
Yeah.
They tried to say that, Bruce with the Caitlyn, who was it? The other ones that Kim was with, they bailed out on her. I'm biased.
It was Reggie Miller and Ray J.
Reggie Miller was a basketball player. Was it Reggie Bush?
I don't know. That's it. Reggie Bush. He was Reggie somebody.
Yeah, he
And
didn't like
then
all the publicity.
Her husband, Chris. Was it?
Girl, you remember Chris?
Yeah.
I forgot all about Chris. He was like, bye, see you.
Gotta go.
Then, with Kanye, he just stayed, but then they made the movie Get Out, allegedly. Well, they made it to make people more aware. Yeah, let's just keep it 100. The white girls with the black guys. So, we're going to touch bases on how do you feel about that, and we just going to keep it 100. We might have to go off the live so y'all don't know what he is talking. And see what's really going on. But they were saying, as far as like the movie Get Out, kind of just opened up your eyes to say, hey, watch what you're getting into. And then they said that he went crazy. Lamar Odom ended up going to drugs. You know what I'm saying? And we already know people are going to go through what they go through. Do I believe that the Kardashians have something to do with it? No, I don't. No. Maybe it's just the people that they just choose and they just go through the spell. But he has a point. He said that he feels, allegedly, this is third or fourth hand, because you know how it is with the media. That I'm like, let's keep it real.
Yeah.
That he had, it was different because you would think that Christians would be more supportive of him spreading the word and reaching the younger generation versus condemning him and being unfavored. You got something to say? Go ahead.
Well, you know what? Some folk think to each his own, and then there are those that feel that an entertainer is what he does, and a Christian is who an individual is. Yeah, and so some people are feeling like maybe he's just trying to remain relevant.
Yeah, I just saw
That's
that.
what you think?
No, I just saw that comment.
But that's sort of like what I'm saying. We're blending. Christianity is not a genre.
Okay,
if you're a Christian, that's who you are. And if as a Christian, this is what he feels called to do. How do we know that he's not?
Right.
You're right about that.
How do we know that he's not? Like, everybody can accept that he was crazy, but they can't accept that he's taking Jesus on the road? Or are they saying that you should not blend? Are we saying that as Christians, he should not be in that type of entertainment? I mean, what exactly is the problem? Because I can see all of that. It's not just a black and white. It's what is the issue with a Christian taking Jesus on the road? Is it because of the music he is playing or the music he left behind? Or is he trying to remain relevant? We don't know.
Do you really think that he's trying to remain relevant? Because I'm going to say this. I'll go, and y'all have to see the play front and center. And it kind of talks about this, which is before, it was already done before this situation came. But it actually sheds light on that. And I know me coming up in the church, you have it's another day's journey. And I'm glad you be like, I used to be a little kid like, oh my gosh, can we get some? I was so happy when Brother Dean came. Can we get something hype? Can we get something going? Because remember, you was like, what's going on? And I said, I had to do what I had to do to get what I needed. And what was it? This old building? What's that one?
There's a leak in this.
There's a leak in this old building.
I don't know that.
Oh
one.
my goodness!
Listen,
I had to leave that song.
I know that. Bro.
That's the song I got you doing though.
There's a leak in this building.
Listen. Wait a minute.
I had
though.
to leave that in choir.
Now listen. Now how old were you singing that?
That was only about 7 years ago.
Oh, that was recently. Okay, so the link you might be a little.
I know, no,
yeah, your adult voice. Okay,
I know it.
Okay,
well.
okay. Now here's my thing. It sounds like people ready to lay down, like that. Okay, they about to lay down. They about to die. That's what I'm thinking. Like you about to lay down.
You talking about the Negro spiritual experience?
That's what That's what it's like.
Know.
Come on. So I feel it on him. Like, why do we have to be so? Like the Negro spirituals.
Are you talking about Kanye West?
Yes.
Okay, I kind of.
See, he came in late, even though we live, so you got to just fall in. We can't go back and rewind.
Yeah. I was like, they must be talking about Kanye West.
But I just feel like
bell.
ding.
Right.
Pay docked.
Because it was like y'all just kept using like the noun instead of the pronouns and stuff. I'm like, why don't y'all just say his name?
We already said it.
So I know.
We already did. You was late. That's the problem.
That's
how
right.
it is.
All right, $5 fine.
Yeah, you're right.
That's how I go. When you late, you just got to catch up.
Man.
We ain't doing the rewind.
But to what you're saying,
You need something more upbeat to me.
Because some people feel that you're looking for emotionalism instead of Jesus. So, I mean, that's what I'm saying. There's so many factors involved here. What exactly is the concern?
So you think that I'm going to church for the party?
I didn't say that.
I think
so. I think, listen, I ain't trying to be funny.
Oh, yeah, it's somebody's club. It's somebody's club on Sunday.
It's somebody's club. Ask any musician.
Go ahead.
They will tell you there are certain keys that they can hit that will cause certain reactions.
Right.
Exactly.
Everything is not touching the spirit.
Sorry.
So,
of the individual. Well, actually the godly spirit, the Holy Spirit.
There you go.
Okay.
So that's what I'm saying. What is the feedback here? What
Yeah.
is the purpose behind the feedback or the influence? Because that's where I'm at.
Well, for me, with that one is I just got
pray for
in
me
my
because
head
I'm going for the party.
with
Party,
and I'll be
There ain't no party like a Holy
Ghost
Ghost
party. Thank you. I was getting ready to say because the Holy Ghost party don't
And we're not saying
stop.
to get emotional in praise is wrong, but if that is what he is chasing, the emotion of it instead of the praise of it, that could be where the negative feedback is coming from.
That could be from the judgment.
The emotion.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Rugo.
This is what I'm gonna say about Kanye. Now I haven't. Is it out? The Christian album?
No.
It's not out, right?
Jesus is God to be coming out. Well, we just
it'll
released
be
it.
coming-
No, we just said we can't play it. Go ahead.
Okay, all right. So this is what's up. He was already kind of rooted in this a while ago.
See. Okay, wait. We already talked about that.
All right, but let me
go ahead, reiterate.
Let me say this. I think the issue is that people aren't happy about the in between. His in between from that point to like being a Trump guy and all that kind of stuff. But
you just said that.
You know what I'm saying?
That's where it's
okay, all right. So my thoughts are this is that like because I'll tell you like this. I'm like one of those people who like James Cleveland, we used to be playing at home and all that kind of stuff or whatever. I ain't really like I'm not really like a contemporary Christian, like when they stomp and all that. I'm like, yeah, nah, I ain't got time for that. I personally don't like that kind of stuff.
Okay,
but I will say that just because I don't like it doesn't mean that someone else isn't being touched or moved towards God because of it. And I think the thing is that if Tupac is right and only God can judge us, then God is going to judge Kanye West based off of his motivations for doing this album.
That is true.
You know, I don't think that it's necessarily coming from a bad place. I just think that people are pretty much upset about his politics, and now he wants to go now. But his politics aren't really necessarily anti-religion. You know what I mean? If anything, they're more embedded. Is more deeply vetted in religion. If you talk about him being on the far right or whatever like that, and all that kind of stuff. Granted, the things that have happened some things that happen in religion are detrimental to society when it comes to like, oh, we can have slaves because it was in the Bible, or we can like not like have our wives, you know, be leaders because you know they weren't supposed to be or whatever, you know, that kind of stuff. I just think like where is the biblical teaching going?
I think it's also part of they see him as unstable. So it's like he's swinging this way, then he's swinging that way, then he's circling this and he's zigzagging that. And so it's difficult for some people to take it seriously or to find the authenticity in it.
That's where I'm at with it. I can't, because what keeps sticking in my mind is the last song that he had come out with before he started doing all this. Did you see the video of him and I forgot the other rapper's name? They acting all crazy, and the one Adele Givens was in the comedian video. Yeah, it was
I
in the
didn't
video.
see it.
But the song is "You're Such a Effing." Yeah,
like
that
the lady
song. And that was the last thing I heard, and that was just last year. And all of a sudden, now you taking Jesus on the road. Excuse me, sir, you was just calling women a effing hoe.
So that would probably be the best example of persuasion paralysis. I talked about that on Be Inspired, and I'll do that on the Q-tips. And what that is in case you don't know what persuasion paralysis is, that's where it's hard or you're stagnant in trying to persuade people into what you're buying or what you're selling. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, you got too many things going on. Help me focus on one. Go ahead. It's something you got to say.
I just kind of feel like he's one of those artists that can exist in both realms, in the secular and non-secular. And sometimes when you do that, people will say, well, you were just singing about this, or you were just doing about that, or whatever like that, you know? And I think, like, and it's kind of tough to say that because I know there's been times where I've left church and I put on something that wasn't church music. You know what I mean?
You do some Too Short on in the parking lot.
I cannot tell a lie. I've done the same thing.
You know what I'm saying? Throw it out the street
And
with the
being here,
rejects.
Walking down the street from the church like
Yeah,
that.
I mean, so it's just, I just think like, he's walking a fine line that people are going to judge him or not. I think the thing is that take from it what you can take from it. And if he's able to help some people with issues that they may have with religion through his gift of music, then I think that it might be a positive thing.
I'm gonna share something with you. Back in 85. No, it wasn't 80. Maybe 87.
87.
Tony came out. Remember that?
Yeah.
Hey, Little Walter. Remember that?
Yeah, that might have been 87.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Your girl, me, who like music, young. Remember Way in the Water?
Way in the Water. How could you not?
Yeah, that's what I thought about.
How could you not?
Yeah.
So you got the intro to that.
Oh, they stole it.
I know where it came. We know.
Yeah, they
you know when
stole
you
it.
up there, you like, oh, wait a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Hey, Little Walter, Wade in the Water. Boom. That works for me.
Uh-huh.
Hey, Brother D, we need to do it like this. That's us. Brother D was over our youth choir. So
and
we
the
was
youth has a different energy.
And it's
Right.
like we don't, and we haven't gotten there yet. You know, it's like, okay, once you get there, once you are seasoned and you've lived, then you be like, oh, okay, I understand that. But as a young person, you're like, oh, I want to have fun. Why we got to be in church? Why we got to lay down? You just gave us 4-ounce juice and some butter cookies. Why we got to sit there and be laying down? You already know about the little four ounces of juice.
Yeah.
And but from Sunday school to church, and then they want you to sit still, or somebody want to sing us a leak in this old building. Huh?
Yeah.
I'm about to go to the store. I got 50 cents. A quarter gonna go in the offering. A quarter going to next door to the store.
To the store, you get like 3 packs of Annihilator.
5 fireballs.
5 fireballs.
But you know that energy of the music and to an age group. Because I remember when I was younger, we had like the hymns, but as a young person, it made a big difference when a more youthful pastor came into the church and his wife was a musician, and she took this song, "A Golden Crown." And when she started playing it and she hooked up that keyboard.
She remixed it.
Listen here. Cause soon as my feet strike Zion, gonna lay down my heavy burden, put on my robe in glory, gonna shout. And so we still got the message.
Right.
And we can sing that today and just reiterate the message.
See,
That's
it
what
was
we got
hyper.
was the message.
It was
And
hyper.
I do like an energetic service. I do. Let me say that.
Okay.
I grew up. Shout out to New Hope Baptist Church.
Word.
Third and fourth Sunday. Third Sunday gospel chorus. That was the adult choir, like our parents' age group.
Uh-huh.
And then the fourth Sunday was the youth choir. We went to church all 4 Sundays, but you were going to be in church third and fourth Sunday because you knew that it was going to be hype. You knew you were going to praise the Lord. And back then, we didn't really have to think about whether or not it was secular or for Jesus. We knew. And you shouted and you praised and you did get into it and you learned about God. The gospel was preached and shout out to Reverend Bankston. He was the pastor at the time. So I grew up in a church where, you embraced the emotionalism. But on the first and second Sunday where it wasn't as much so, you had your great-great-grandparents singing on the first Sunday and you had your preschoolers singing on the second Sunday, and it was cute. But we praised God and worshiped.
That is so funny. Talk about something, your preschooler, and you like, and it was cute. Girl, you gave me a flashback.
Sunday like that.
I went back. I was like,
Well, we praised God all 4 Sundays, but you looked forward to the emotional, energetic service that you were going to have the third and fourth Sundays of the month. You just did. I mean, so I'm not speaking against that. However, it was said best. God knows your heart. God knows where it's coming from, and all we can do is speculate because we don't know.
Haven't even heard it yet.
okay. All right. Well, she said, look, she wrapped that up real quick, didn't she? But I am that person. Look, let me just be clear. I am that person. Do I go for the Holy Ghost party? That's what gets me. That's what gets my attention. I can go sit at your service. I ain't even gonna lie to you. You can sit there and you can teach the word. And another person that's my age, we were sitting there, conversing, and she was saying how she don't really go to church. And she said, man, she's like, I don't really go. They saying the same exact thing. And another one said,
they say the same exact thing.
She said they said the same.
Yeah,
she said,
don't sin.
Well, listen, pretty much this is what she said. These are the last days. And so she's been hearing that over and over.
Okay.
And I get it. And then another person said that when I go to church, I feel as though I'm lost because when they preach, she said she wasn't brought up in the church. So some pastor, I guess the pastor that she kind of encountered was just talking like, you should know. You should know. Like, somebody coming in, it's like, all right, here we go. And just picking up. She's like, I didn't go to Sunday school. I wasn't raised in the church. And it's like, y'all know the scripture. She said, I'm sitting there. Everybody else know it. She said, and I don't. So she feels lost. So that's why she doesn't go. So message
My thing with her,
to the pastors. Wait a minute, though. Message to the pastors, because when you get up there and you speak, you have to speak as if it's the first time that they've come, which is where the other girl was like, they keep saying the same thing for the person that's coming. But I just think that your delivery, speak from God, and he knows, and he'll speak through you, and he'll touch you. And if the message is for you, it'll be for you. That's just my thoughts. I just encouraged her to continue to go. I was like, just continue to go. I said, and then you'll learn it. And, they'll say, read it for yourself. And that's easier said than done.
She might need a Bible. She might need a good Bible study.
Mm-hmm. That's what I was
You know what I'm saying?
And also
or like,
finding a church that she can feel a little bit more connected to. Maybe she can go to a church with a preacher that's going, even though he know most of the congregation know it, he's going to teach like it's the first time you're hearing it. So maybe she needs to visit other churches to see which church she'll be more comfortable at instead of just not going.
Okay, and what Kim said, are you there for the word? Now, see, you'll get me by your ministry of music. And I'm just being honest. If I know this is where a choir, listen, if you got a raggedy choir,
what? The raggedy?
I'm gonna keep it real. I'm just gonna talk my talk. If you have a raggedy choir, I'm just not gonna come when I know the first and second selection and you have an awesome speaker. I'll come and I'll hear what he has to say. But the music, that's what gets me. Music. I like music. And it's like, oh, okay, they choir jams. Now, guess what? You got me. I'm sitting here. What you gonna preach?
So what this sounds like is,
I'm for Kanye.
The 5 worship languages.
Yes, the 5 worship languages.
The preaching
yes,
and the praying and the choir and the offering, and we got to come up with one more.
Singing. Come before the Lord with singing and
thanksgiving. Oh, yeah. So we have all of these different energies that drive us to church, because I love good music. I do. And that's probably because I was raised in a church where music was a very important part of the worship process. There are some people, though, who go for the preaching. So you're right. People go to church to get whatever is going to feed them, like a worship language.
It's something to it.
Yeah, there is.
There's something to it. But I mean, let's be real.
We're not talking about y'all who want to go Easter Sunday sharp every week, though.
Now that's your language is what you wearing then. I ain't on that one. Like, let me see what I'm gonna wear it out. You ain't even there for nothing. You there for yourself, okay? What was I going? Oh, before you speak, what gets you hype? What's your energy before you speak?
Music.
Okay.
It is listening to music. Sometimes it's praying, depending on what I'm doing.
Okay. Before you speak, what gets you hype?
I always ask for people to have discernment in my words.
Okay.
Not
before you even get out there. Like, you're like, okay, I'm driving in the car and I'm on my way.
Yeah.
What you listening to?
usually nothing. Usually I'm like kind of
okay, so you meditate?
I'm kind of like, well, do I want to say this? Or I'm one of those people that I'll make a change in the 11th hour and be like, oh man, I don't know if I should do this.
There's a leak in the soul building.
I'm just saying, sometimes because I will say that there has not been a time where I felt extremely. What I want to say, I feel like the critique happens until I actually get done.
So you're looking for the critique already.
Well, I'm judging myself. You know what I mean? There's not I don't think there's been a time where I felt like, oh, this is gold from where it is. I'm cool. I can relax about it or whatever.
So your mission when you speak is to what?
Well, it's hopefully to give people insight and hope and drive.
Okay.
Because most of my speaking has been at commencements.
Right. Okay.
You know what I mean? So
and in yours,
To educate and inspire into action.
okay. And see, mine is to uplift. And in order for me to uplift, I need them to feed off of my energy. And I need to have that energy because you'll have people that'll come and see you and their energy is low. And guess what? And when you're looking and you're trying to speak, it's hard to be up here. When you're looking at everybody that's just like this, it's like, okay, bring us up. So that's why my theme music is what it is. Always have been since 2010. Yeah, Shay to whatever that girl with her name is that's using my theme music now. But
Be real.
yeah, you got to be real. And I have to be hype. And I constantly say, even like my whole motto is, it's okay to be you. I'm sorry, I be listening to them. You know, the beat. And I'm a person. And what's that? Gloria Estefan, the rhythm is going to get you. And I'm telling you, even like before, I've noticed where pastors, they have singers or a good song before they actually come, you know, and say, and go ahead and preach the word. So you have to find your energy. And I just feel like them kind of dogging Kanye. And I've never been a big fan of Kanye, although I love Flashing Lights. That's my song. But I think I feel like, why are you doing that to him? Let people express the way that they need to express, as long as they're not harming anybody. And Rugels, you said it, like talking about the religion and how religion will take you. That's why people are pulling out of religion, period.
Yeah, but
Go ahead, and dealing with spirituality.
I just kind of feel like it's like one of those things, like, was it, don't throw ye without sin, throw the first stone or whatever.
That scripture, is it?
Yeah,
somewhere, I
something
know
like
something.
that. You know, somebody's about to get.
We got it.
But it's like one of those things. It's like, because it's people. Okay, and I ain't trying to. Oh no, I'm just gonna put it out there. Oh, it ain't like out there. I mean, what's his name? The Stomp guy.
Kirk Franklin.
Kirk Franklin, little guy.
Kirk Franklin had some issues or whatever, and like he overcame those issues.
His porn?
Yeah, he overcame those issues, and he's still singing and people dancing and singing and his stuff too. You know, so it's like one of those things where like. Like what you were saying before when the R. Kelly thing came up. Was it the artist versus the person?
The music versus
or whatever.
The art.
Yeah, I just kind of feel like, hey, he gonna come out with it inevitably, and then you can make your judgment calls on if it's good for you or not good for you. You know what I mean? But to say that, okay, this is. Like, I don't think that Kanye is innately evil. And I think that the people are trying to, like, build that, like, a narrative that this is a bad guy. Mm-hmm. You know, he's just a guy who happened to have these circumstances that happened to him that put him in, like, to do this. You know, but when on that same album, when Jesus Walk came out, it wasn't like the whole album was, like, Christian. You know what I mean? Right. It was just that one cut, you know? And then it's, you know, so it's just, I just think, like, people need to slow down a little bit, check it out. If it's for you, it's for you. If it's not for you, then that's okay. Because, like I said, there's a lot of contemporary gospel and stuff like that I'm like, yeah, nah, I'm cool.
Too much.
All day long.
Too much. Mm-hmm.
All day long.
Okay.
Twice on Sunday.
All day long and twice on Sunday?
Yeah.
Early morning service and afternoon?
I'm just saying, like with the Easter morning, would say the sunrise service. Nah, okay. I'm cool on I'm just cool on some of the contemporary gospel stuff. So it's just because it's so funny because I was watching one of those award shows for it, and I told my wife, I was like, man, I feel like I'm sinning just watching this because this don't really seem right to me.
Oh, okay.
Like it don't seem right that like you get awards for for who praise God the best. You know what I mean? That's just kind of like what it is. Like it's like
it is.
If it's like it don't matter what the joyful noise is, then everybody should get a participation trophy. Where's mine?
Everybody don't get a trophy.
I'm just saying.
Everybody don't get a trophy.
I'm just saying. It seems weird
They
to
get
me.
a participation certificate.
But if you go by the word, and say make a joyful noise, right? So how can you judge what noise is more joyful than the next?
Well, I'm gonna tell you, this leak in this old building, it's joyful for the seasoned folk.
Hey, you know
but for the younger folk, I'm like, dang, I ain't trying to do what they did. I don't want no leak yet.
I don't know what you talk about, but for Pastor's anniversary, when I had to lead that song 7 years ago, we told the church up.
I bet y'all did. What was the little kids doing? Looking for butter cookies and 4 ounces of juice.
No, listen.
They like, can we sing the Sunshine Band? Where was the Sunshine Band at?
That was the name of our band in church. The Sunshine Band. Yes.
I think y'all stole that name.
Right.
Casey and the Sunshine Band, right?
The Sunshine, the Rosebuds. Y'all already know. Using the Rosebuds. We using the Rosebuds and we sang Holy, Holy, Holy. That was the hymn. Phillips Chapel, seeing me on Albert Street. We didn't want to do that.
She said there's a message in that song.
It is a message. Holy, yeah. At this age, I'm down. At this age, I get it. But at that age, I didn't. And then, listen, we had outgrew the robes that they look like football jerseys. Okay. I was like, the robes, like we like just grew up and the robes stayed the same. We're like, we're going to get some new ones. Okay. Jesus. But we just didn't get it. That's why we were so happy. And Revelations was my favorite song back then. I was like 13, 14. But Holy, Holy, and we marching up to Holy, Holy, holding these hymns. It was just like, So, moral of the story, my opinion, I'm happy with Kanye. And I will say this, him being in a mental hospital, spirituality is something they encourage for therapy. They use that for therapy. So guess what? Clearly it worked for him. Even though he was brought up in it, he reverted back. Hope, like you were saying, that's what you speak for. And boom, and he's bringing it. And to me, if you putting the word of God out there, boom, do it. How you do it, you'll reach different people. What is it? It's many people to the body of Christ. Is that scripture? Does that sound about right? But anyway, you know, you have to reach different people. Everybody is not a cookie cutter. You know, you can't just say, okay, here, this is what we're doing, this is what we're doing. Otherwise, you'll have people like my homegirl who said, she was like, I'm not going.
Said, watch that, Melby.
Who?
Your auntie said, watch that.
Hey, shout out to Juliet. Yeah, you know, listen, you had us singing Holy, Holy, Holy. So you already know. I love you though. Now I understand.
And she came and got y'all.
She came and got us, yeah.
I'm telling you, anybody that is willing to get your children up and ready, all you had to do was just get them up and she will pick them up and bring them back. And feed them while she has them. So you had your free time.
So you like choir rehearsal in church.
I was in that place of finding me. So I was growing something.
She had her free time.
One way. You know what I mean? But yeah, so yeah. Oh yeah.
Shout out to my the pastor.
Yeah, she got in her as a child what she needed in her spirit. And so I wanted to say to Rugo over there that I would rather have a positive message to even some of this music. Like that one where the guy was listening to his little son singing "Eat the Booty Like Groceries."
Oh,
and Lord. He's like, no. It has a really great rhythm. It's going to make you dance even if you don't feel like dancing. It's just going to naturally make you move. But he said, matter of fact, you're not even going to the grocery store anymore. But it's the lyrics, and that's getting in them. So I would rather have, some positive messages. If you go on roller skating, whatever you're doing, let it be a positive message that's getting in there versus all of this other vulgarity.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You are what you eat.
Yeah, you are, and I'm gonna need you not to be singing my neck, my back. I said, don't sing that song no more. It's like, I know the right. Don't sing that song. Just like what Jamila said, Aunt Pat, don't sing that song. And then what was that, Usher? Don't nobody kiss it like you.
Oh, I love that song, but yeah.
I was like, you don't like that song. You don't, and it wasn't that part. It was the part that it had something in it. I forgot which the lyric was. She's like, "Oh, that's a nice song." No,
Oh, well, remember the lady
you doing your
that sang
mom
the
like
milkshake?
Fuzz
Remember
was
the
doing
lady,
you.
right?
Remember the lady that did the milkshake?
You talking about Khalees?
Oh yeah, Khalees.
The lady who did the milk.
Yes, my stepmom. She was singing that in Rite Aid, and it was like, "Don't." Oh, it was so funny. My sister was like, "No, no." She was like, "Mom, stop singing that song." I was like, "That's the jam." I was like, "Oh yeah."
But it's funny she should say that because I remember driving with my son when he was little, and I used to be like, it's certain stuff like it's music. I was like, "Oh, I'm not listening to this anymore." You know, I would like with him in the car. I ain't gonna even lie. I'll throw on some 50s, some like oldies. You know what I mean, and listen to that because I like all music or whatever. And basically I listen to a lot of classical stuff. It's just on. You know,
I believe you.
Yeah, I do. You know, but it was like kind of like even when I was listening to like top 40 stuff, it was still like, this ain't really all that great. I don't really want him to hear this. You know what I mean? But it was just like, it's just being conscious about like, I mean, there's certain people that are more concerned about what their children eat versus like what they hear and see.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And that's
not what they eat mentally, but what they eat physically.
Yeah. And I think like it's just as important. You know, I don't know why. I'm thinking about him because you know what he called me and told me yesterday? He is like, I'm no longer on your cell phone plan. I said, what? Yeah. I was like, victory. You know? Hey, he took the initiative. I was like, because I went from sprint to boost, and I took it with me. He's like, I went back to sprint. I was like, all right.
Run on.
Don't even matter. It's all good.
He on his way. All right.
Oh man.
How do you feel?
Kids are definitely like sponges.
Hey, that was the apron string being cut. I tell you.
That was it. The cell phone.
Yeah, because we moved into Pittsburgh last week, and I'll be going down there this week watch football or whatever. But it was just like one of those things. Like, yeah, it was good. It was cool.
All right. You want to add on to that?
I think that what we have to realize is that we teach our kids more about what we do than what we say. So shout out to you for choosing music that you felt was appropriate for him to listen to while you were with him. But that do as I say, not as I do doesn't work anymore. If we want to teach our children the path that we believe they should go, we need to live it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You want to add
my mom used to tell my dad all the time because he was that do as I do, not as I say. And guess who turned out to act just like him?
Well, you just said do as I do.
Do as I do, so you did.
I mean, you know what I mean? He was just saying not as I do. You know what I'm trying to say.
If he was saying that, then he was
right.
But
he was saying do as I say, not as I do. But that didn't work for this child here.
He cracking up.
Do as I say and not as I do.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
That's what he was always saying. But me, that did not work for me because I did exactly what I saw. So it's okay for you to do it. So I was the resistant child that did what I wanted to do, and he would be. He'll see me up the street somewhere. What you doing up here? What you up here watching for? You up here. In order for you to see that I'm up here on the strip where I ain't supposed to be, you up here.
On your way to the Sunshine Band.
No, I wasn't on that.
She was going to choir rehearsal.
That was way past it. Way past
She was
it.
going to choir rehearsal.
In Cyril, we had Idaho Street where all the bars was. I wasn't allowed on Idaho Street. Okay, guess what? So I would like stand on the side street, be peeking around the corner. Once I see my dad just sitting there, and my dad was the type of person that liked to people watch. Mm-hmm. He would just go and, sit and, oh, so you on the strip, my man? Okay, guess what? I'll walk around the corner. Like,
see, and he needed to check you. He needed
to
check
here.
you.
What you doing up here? The same thing you doing, watching people.
Look at her talking about watching people. Hey, that was we had Hillman
watching you.
We had Hillman, but you wasn't saying. We said watching you, watching me.
watching
Listen,
you, watching me.
Exactly.
That while you saying that, that's how I was. What I had a family member that I know to steal, and he came. he came over. Let me tell you something. He was like, you already know. He said, he like, what you looking at? I said, I'm looking at what you looking at.
Hey.
Make sure it's still here when you leave.
And it'd be crazy. You know, it'd be crazy. No matter how old those family members get, you still be like, it's in you. It's in you. You might not be able to carry a TV or a refrigerator out, but you might take something small like an iPad or something.
Right. So I'm watching what you watching. What you doing? Stand there watching you. Watch you see what you watching at. What you looking at? Larry, you the ones you look when you sang that song. That's why I was like, I remember that.
I remember that.
He's like, what's
song,
that? I
yes.
said a camera. That's okay. And why is it that the person that get out of jail, the people that ain't out of jail, they don't know where you live at? Who tells the person that just get released? They come knocking. How you know where I live at? And there's people that been free telling someone what's your address, and you know
because they gonna ask somebody that they know, and that dumb is gonna tell them. Oh, she lives.
I said, what you talking about?
Because they be going like door to door to the old houses they know. Because I'm telling you, I had somebody come to my door. I was like, "What is you doing here?" You know what I mean? Like, what is you? Oh, you know, such and such. I'm like, yeah. The first thing you do is tell them the truth about where somebody else is at. Hopefully, that they never come back to your house.
That's it. That's probably
You
it.
be like, oh.
Let's
man.
move on. Safari's Robert. Remember he got robbed back in December? Safari, Nicki Minaj's old boyfriend, the one that was writing her rhymes allegedly. And he had that red fur coat. And remember he got robbed at gunpoint? Well, it was legitimate. There was one that took a plea deal. Carl Harry, he took the plea deal. So he was facing 20 years.
Did he shoot him?
No.
This armed robbery getting 20 years.
Armed robbery, he was looking at 20 years. So he took the plea deal, which is a year. Well, technically, 364 days.
Yeah.
So less than a year and 5 years probation. So he went on and took it. So it was legitimate. And him crying was for real. Somebody really tried. Yeah. It was legit because Thursday was like, oh, is that like a setup or something? Those are supposed to be his friends. Anyway, that actually happened.
But with all that, like, I mean, he must have testified then.
Somebody,
he broke all the rules. He snitched. And he cried. What is
already told
is
you
Nicki Minaj still with
it?
it?
I ain't going down by myself.
I'm just saying with the whole rap persona. He did everything that you shouldn't do, right?
Yeah.
Did Nicki Minaj, is she still with him?
No, she's not with him anymore. They split up. He ended up marrying Erica Mena.
Who is that?
Nicki Minaj got married to some other guy. I forgot his name. Just recently.
Erica Mena is the one that started off on
She's
Love
with
and Hip Hop.
I don't watch those shows.
You know what
okay,
you don't.
You sure don't.
Yeah.
Ratchet TV.
So she was somebody's girlfriend, and now she's famous.
No, she was a model and trying to get in the music industry, and she was introduced to Love and Hip Hop New York first. She was with this Richie Dollars, the producer.
Kind of like how Cardi B
been with
came
everybody.
about.
Okay,
put it this way: she been with everybody. Now she can finally settle down and got knocked up.
Finally settled down because he was the right one.
I guess he was the right one because she didn't calm down. She don't even fight like she used to. Because I be watching the man is like. Give me 5 minutes of some of these chicks.
That fight was for airplay. That fight wasn't for real. Because think about it. Like, it's the way they say the way people have beef. Mm-hmm. I remember my sister. It was her and this girl used to fight. It seemed like they fought every 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks. Like, who, you know what I mean? Like, every 2 weeks, it was like, oh, there's a situation again. She had to fight. You know, she had to fight again and again and again. And so you on the film with somebody every week or something, you got a show. It seemed like to me, y'all should be fighting every week.
Look at him like every week. That's what you were exposed to.
That's how I was exposed to. Every week. You gotta keep fighting the bullies every week.
Yeah.
And ain't nobody fighting
bullies. Yeah. Now, that's the thing what I don't understand. Back in the day, the bullies, we fought the bullies until we either whooped they behind or they found somebody else to bully. Yeah. Nowadays, these kids are taking their lives, and that's just, to me, I don't know. I don't know to put the blame on the parents, the school board, the teachers, like y'all getting involved.
She's like the governor, the president, the lunch lady. It's the lunch lady's fault. She gave him a bigger portion than him. Why my is so small?
Like a lot of these children have said that they have gone to their teachers and they have gone to the
voice
principal
of the community.
it's still not doing enough, or some have reported and the teachers haven't done anything, the principal hasn't done. So where do you go to keep these babies from taking their lives? That's the main focus.
This was a conversation me and one of my friends had. I actually initiated it because we were talking about his son went through a phase of getting picked on. My son went through a phase of getting picked on or whatever. And I said the problem is that we instill our kids with virtue, and we say, "Oh, if somebody does this, go tell the teacher." Blah blah. But because the kids who's doing it, they don't got those limits. It don't matter if you tell the teacher. Right. You know what I mean? And it got to the point, and I don't know. I'm gonna say it anyway. It got to the point one time where my son say, "Hey, sometimes you just gotta." I mean, I understand what I told you in the past. But sometimes you gotta fight, I'd rather for you to be in a fight with somebody than for you not to engage in a fight and that person take advantage of you and hurt you because you backing up or don't want to fight or something like that. Sometimes you gotta cross that limit because it's about defending yourself.
Okay, so we are back to if somebody hits you, you better hit them back.
Well, that's what I was always told.
Sometimes. It depends on the severity. Like, if you getting constantly picked on and you walking away, then at some point you better turn around and knock the hell out that child and then deal with the consequences later, because then we're back to now these children are losing their lives, hanging themselves, it's just ridiculous.
Is it because they're listening to their parents by saying, okay, well, I'm not supposed to hit back. I don't want to get in trouble at home. If I get into a fight, I'm going to get in more trouble when I get home. Go ahead.
I think that's a strong part of it. I had to change my narrative with my son. I was just saying like this, like, hey, if you get in trouble, call me. I was like, don't call nobody else. Tell them to call me. Don't even say nothing until they call me. You know what I mean? And for some reason that didn't resonate with him early enough, and then after a while, he got to like, okay, he get me out of, because it was certain stuff where like my son was physically bigger than all the kids. Like, it's a picture, I came across a picture where it's like he had his arm up like this or whatever, and the kids was down here. It was like at his rib cage. And
so automatically, he's guilty.
Yeah. But I go in the classroom, his kids hanging all over him and stuff like that. But if he roughhouse back with them, it's an issue. Well, no, it's a double standard, is what it is. Right. And I had to go that route with a few administrators and teachers and stuff like that. But when it came to the thing where he was severe, I remember it was one time, it was a 5th grader that was bullying them or something like that, and he like hit him, he didn't even mean to hit him, but he hit him and he busted his lip. Right? My son hit the 5th grader and busted his lip. And so that became an issue, and I had to go on there. I was like, well, think about it like this. My son's in the 3rd grade. Even though he may be bigger than the kid, the 5th grader's mentality is that no 3rd grader is going to beat me. You know what I'm saying? I was like, why did these circumstances happen? I was like, and if you dare try to put anything on if you try to suspend him, you try to do this, you try to do that, blah, blah, this is the course of action I'm taking. Because this is a double standard. This is some BS, and therefore he was able to, no action happened in that event. But the thing was like every time I went to go talk to the teachers, I was coming from work or whatever, and I had a job where I had to dress a certain way. I never disrespected them, but I just killed them with the truth. Like, hey, this is the truth. Like, the first thing they want you to do is cuss. Right. The first thing they want you to do is call them out their name, because then they don't gotta hear nothing you gotta say. But when you go in there and you say, hey, this is the facts of what I know happened. Tell me different. Right. Tell me why you believe you should take this particular action. And then you just kill them from there. Because they don't know facts. But you as the parent, you know the kids. You know your kid, you know the other kids and all that other stuff. So you got more information to be able to defend all the kids in that circumstance. Because sometimes especially our boys, get taken advantage of by the system in a way to where if it's kids that aren't black, sometimes it's boys will be boys is the saying. But when it's our kids, you got a particular problem here. You got to look into this, and we think they need a couple days off of school to get their, to get back together and all that kind of stuff. No, ain't none of that gonna happen here today. This is what's up.
Now, my daughter was in 5th grade, and to go back to what you're saying, I taught her, if there's an issue in school, you bring it home to me and let me handle it. Because the teacher can't do anything to me, but they can do something to you. So I say that to say this. There was this one young lady at the school. She was bullying my daughter, not just my daughter, all the kids. But as long as she didn't hit or touch, my daughter could handle it. She was cool. One day my daughter came home from school and she said, she took my glasses and threw them on the ground. Now the glasses didn't break. She said, but that's the last time I'm going to let her touch me. Now I know my daughter, so I was proud of her that she let that happen. But what I did was I went to the school the next day and I said, I want this meeting between the two of us recorded. This was me and the principal. I told her who my daughter was. She says, I've never even heard of your daughter. I said, then that tells you the type of student she is, because she's been here since kindergarten. We are now 5th grade. I said, but I'm going to tell you this. She told me that this young child did this to her. I'm letting you know now. We let the first hit go. We're not letting the second hit go. This meeting is occurring between the two of us today for you to make sure the second hit does not happen. I want this on her record. They expelled that young lady.
Good.
They expelled her. Because I meant that. If you don't even know who my daughter is, and she's been in the school system from day one, but the child bullying her, oh yeah, you're familiar with her? And my daughter did not hit her back? I said, the next time she is. Now we go up to junior year, and there was a young lady who was not as pigmented as we are, who accused my daughter of something. And my daughter sat there in that classroom in the principal's office and let me yell at her and fuss at her for her role in it. When she got home that evening, my daughter, she said, I didn't say anything in school because you taught me that when I'm in school to be quiet. But this is what really happened. This was the student who saw it, and that is not the way the story went. I went back to the school the next day, went to the principal's office, a different principal at the high school now, and I said, my daughter sit here and let me discipline her for something that she did not do, but because she has so much respect for me and you, she didn't say anything, she took it. I said, now this is what really happened. By the time I got there, the principal already knew what happened because the girl who witnessed it had gone to the principal's office and told that my daughter had nothing to do with that. But my point to the principal was, how do you just assume that the person of color is the one who was wrong? Why don't you expel the person who was not of color for telling the lie? How are you going to expel my daughter, suspend my daughter, but not even understand exactly what happened? And the origin of the incident did not even happen during school time.
Oh, well, why did that even? Exactly. Why was it even presented?
So I said, so how did this
during school hours?
Because my daughter
the pigment of the skin
was looked at as the intimidator. So they called my daughter down. And this young lady had been going from school to school to school because no matter where she went, there was always an issue. So now she had ended up back at her home school. So they called my daughter out of class. Everybody had to apologize to my daughter. And I told the principal, I said, you no longer have my permission to say anything to my daughter. If she does anything right, wrong, or indifferent, call me from my job. I'll be here. Yeah. Because I gave you permission. I gave you full authority because I believe that the educators need that in order to educate. You have abused that. Do not say anything else to her. I'll be here. Yeah. So I think the first thing that needs to happen is that the educators need to know that the parents are actively involved in the process. And it doesn't start with the bullying. It should start before that.
The one thing I wanted to say real quick, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Was that I'm upset about your story when you said the principal didn't know who your daughter was. Like, I kind of feel like there's something fundamentally wrong when a leader of a building, even if they're not familiar with the name, they should still be kind of familiar with the child. You know what I mean?
Especially if that child is not in trouble, if she gets good grades and a good student, then you should particularly pay attention to that as well as the ones that are troublemakers.
Yeah.
And that is true. So there's two parts to that because this was the 5th grade. So the elementary was kindergarten to 4th. Middle school was 5th through 8th. But they knew who the bully was.
Okay. So like she was in one of those school districts to the north of us.
Yes.
Because they had that middle school model. I'm going to say it was somebody named Guy.
That was her
somebody
first
named
year
Guy,
there.
yeah.
So, and it was earlier in the year. But my point was, you knew who the bully was, so you're absolutely right. They knew who some students were, and who and had never heard of others. But they did expel suspend the bully for that.
All right, not that I have bullies, but I have to say something because every time, let me clear that up for the person that the principals know. The principals knew me. I was not the troublemaker, but for some unknown reason, they nicknamed me Trouble. I wouldn't have nothing to do with anything. However, I did know about it.
I did know about it.
The informative one.
Now, what's interesting is 2 people were fighting one time in front of me. It wasn't even me. It was 2 guys. And I'm like, okay. I went to a whole nother school. I don't know if I'm like, they were like, here comes trouble. I am not. I was like, why do they keep calling me that? I am not the person that caused trouble. So, yes, the principals do know me. Let me tell you, the principals know me so much. Rest in peace, Claude Bentley. He even knew me. And I didn't even go to his school.
Wow.
He was in South. He was like, didn't you go to South? I went to Cheney. Really? Come on now.
Miss
So
personality.
that's it. So just because the principals know you, I used to be in South a lot though. But my mother was cool. Because I was at home. But it depends. If it was variety show time, I was over in South. So that's probably why you thought. Anyway, long story short is just because the principals know you don't mean that you are the bully or the troublemaker. And just because people call you trouble, that's because they can't come up with another name, doesn't mean that you are the trouble. Now, I just have to put that out there. Now, with my 2 little people, my person, and I do believe that they stereotype you, they flag you. Like if you get in trouble one time, they sit there and they'll have you. And just like you said, our boys.
Or a whole family.
And they say, well, I got a good name. Look, I got a good name.
Child, my family in high school.
Okay, wait a minute.
Involved.
So, and they flag our little people. And it's like, okay, and it just follows them. And that doesn't mean that that person is a terrible child. Just because you are the involved parent, which I am, and I'll be there, Johnny, on the spot, doesn't mean that you get to use my child as an example because these other children's parents don't show up. I told y'all, I'll be going to parent-teacher conference. It's only like 5 of us, and I still can't win a raffle. Come on. I was like, there's 5 people here. You still can't pull my name?
5 people.
Same thing with, and even as far as like the fighting in school. Mm-hmm. I told both of mine, as long as nobody put their hands on you, do not put your hands on them. Well, one time somebody put their hands on my daughter. And guess what? The first time. World Star, she know. How my daughter end up on World Star? I was like, what? I get a call. My sister, she all emotional all the time. She like watching after school special. Oh my gosh, all the kids. I was like, what? She was like, she's on World Star. I was like, what? You in a whole nother state. What do you mean? She's like, I just saw her. So my point is, yes, you can tell your children don't be violent, but I've told mine, if somebody hits you, hit them back, and we'll deal with the consequences. Mm-hmm. Let me know. Because I don't want my child to be bullied. And I also don't want my child to be the bully. And just because, like what Rugo was saying, I had bigger children. So you're just going to just assume, okay, they go to bigger child. This is, they're always wrong. And then you can have a little person that'll sit there, hit. And they're like, oh, well, they're not hurting them. And then as soon as they hit back, then there's a problem. So the moral of this story is, and I also want to add this too, that if you notice as an adult, what happens is like, okay, the kids that were bullied or the children that were bullied, they are now becoming the bullies.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I've noticed that in a lot of situations, adulthood now, like.
We have to stop. So the moral of the story is I think we need to take it back and just pretty much say, keep your hands to yourself. As long as they don't put their hands on you, you'll be okay. What is it? Sticks and stones may break your bones.
But names will never hurt you.
And now with social media, names is hurting.
Say names hurt.
Wrong.
Words.
Wrong.
Words
words have always hurt.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of reminds me of my brother's first day. He went to parochial school. We went to parochial school. So by the time I got to 9th grade, I was in public school.
We get ready. We're going to touch base. Pin that because we're going to touch bases on the shades. That's what we talk on our topic today with the shades. With the parochial school. Public school.
Pinocchio's.
Yeah. We got. Hey, politics. Your boy got an award.
What did he get?
He was awarded the Bipartisan Justice Award for the First Step Act. We're talking about President Trump.
Oh, you talking about for the police thing? I mean,
for the prison.
For the prison term? Mm-hmm. Okay.
You okay with that?
I mean, he just doing it so all of his buddies can not go to jail. But,
you think?
Nah. I think.
Or
I think
vote.
the thing was
or could
that,
vote again.
Basically,
Like, yeah.
I think the thing was that there was a lot of. I mean, it was good policy, but it was also policy that Obama was trying to push through, and the same people that supported it this time around didn't support it then.
The first time,
you know. So I mean, it's sometimes you got to take good policy when you can get it. And unfortunately, unfortunately, maybe even fortunately, he was. You know, if you had a house divided, and the only way it was going to get passed was that a Republican president did it, then it may be good that it's
I don't know if it
done.
was more or less the Republican and Democratic Party,
Well,
or if it was the shade.
I just think you get like if you look,
the pigment.
If you look, yeah, but if you look at everything that's going on and stuff like that, it was just like issue 1 in Ohio. There was a lot of people who were like I thought issue 1 was going to pass. Issue 1 was was reform as he's talking about it, but it really focused on people who had like drug addictions and then put money into treatment. But Ohioans did not support that, which I thought was weird, but they didn't support it at all. And it like fell, like it lost like by 2/3 of the vote. Like 60 something % voted against it. But but that vote was actually before he enacted that policy. I think if had he enacted that policy earlier, it probably would have passed in Ohio.
Okay.
You know, just because like Republicans and Democrats both voted it down, and there was, because I was campaigning on it, helping with that campaign, and people of color was like, hey, they didn't do nothing for us in the 80s, so what do I care about this in the 2010s or whatever, so, but I was, but the issue was like, sometimes we don't get it when we can get it, but if we can get it, let's get it and try to work from there.
I will say you brought up a valid point. Yes, President Obama was pushing forward during his term. And actually, we did have somebody in our era. Was it 3 women? But Shauna Scott got out on President Obama's watch for Youngstown, Ohio. And then actually, I believe that there's going to be like a documentary on her on BET. And I can't remember. Live studio audience, you remember the name of that? That's coming. Trap Queens.
Trap Queens.
Mm-hmm. Where it's coming out now. It's coming out now, and now that she's out of jail, she can kind of go back and talk about that. But that was under President Obama who released her, and but now President Trump ended up getting the Bipartisan Justice Award, and Kamala Harris stood with him. It was a few people that were there, so they was happy about that. So he did get something.
Yeah, because he wanted Nobel Peace Prize bad, but I'm like, you ain't gonna get it because of what you're doing in the Middle East, man. I'm telling you, like, I can't believe he did that to the Kurds, man. But sometimes it be like that, I guess.
All righty, shall we get started?
Yeah.
On the topic, and I said I wanted to get going with that, or did you want to deal with the movies first?
No, ain't really too much going on.
Nothing going on.
Yeah.
All right, the heel of it all. The shades.
The shades, y'all.
The shades. What is going on? I thought this was over. Well, yeah, I thought it was over years ago. Why are we racist within our own race as black people?
The jigaboos and the wannabes.
The jigaboos and the wannabes. School days. For my young people, go back, check out School Days.
Yes.
What is up with that? What is up with the question of going natural, and the people that are of darker complexion, they like, oh, okay, pretty much lashing out at the people of the lighter complexion, like, oh, y'all light skin, y'all need to go natural, what is up with that? Or I'll let y'all spill and talk and do what you want to do, but those are the issues that I have. What's going on with the fat shaming? The fat shaming Period.
I'm
Fat
a big
shaming.
girl, always was a big girl, and I'm beautiful, and I have never had no problem.
But
here's
here's the problem. Remember back in the day, you had some of the thin girls, and you had probably 5% of the population. I'm just gonna give it like in school. You had like a fat boy and a fat girl in the school, and all of a sudden everybody fat, and you got a skinny girl and a skinny boy, and then they too skinny. Now it's just like reverse bullying. What's up with that? What's up?
I didn't know that was happening.
It is happening.
Skinny kids. How skinny are these kids?
I guess they
skinny, scrawny kids.
I guess they like about to die skinny.
Because sometimes
like send the children's services over to their house skinny.
Well, you might have to. Might be a problem over there. You know, or
these are grown people though. We're talking like 20, 21, and now they're being attacked.
The skinny old people are being attacked.
Yes, by the
but you old got tired of the skinty girls always talking mess, and then said skinty girls is still single while the fat girl is on husband number 3.
I heard that.
I'm just gonna put it out there
the
for the people.
Is happening? What is going on?
Tell it. Help me to understand.
No, don't tell your story.
I'm just gonna put it out there for the people.
No.
That's why I was always arguing and fighting in school. Everybody wanted to pick with me because I came from a Catholic school and because I was a big girl. Well, this big girl, like I said, has been the third husband, and the skinty girls still single, got about 9-10 kids, 9-10 baby daddies in the project. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not showing nobody this because you making the best of the situations you can, but I'm just saying.
Okay.
That is the fat versus the skinty. Now, me, I'm never going to shade anybody for their size because you are the way God intended you to be. I mean,
but you just talked about skinny people badly.
Because skinny people was always picking with me. But that's just the way things have been. I'm growing, right. The way things have. I'm just saying, I'm putting it out there.
I want to know
me being a big girl was always getting picked on about something. Or the guy that always want to talk mess. But then when I get grown, here they come whispering
but
later
do you
on.
Still identify?
Baby, I wanted you when you looked like Denzel Washington. Now you looking like, what's his name? Dang, Eddie Kane.
Eddie Kane on crack.
On crack. And here you come trying to whisper, boy, back. I wanted you when you was Denzel, not Eddie Kane. Get out of here.
But do you still identify with that person?
No. I don't.
No, I mean, like, okay.
No, but I'm just saying because we're bringing up this topic and that's what it is. You know how skinny girls back then would shade fat girls and now it's opposite way. I ain't shading nobody. You skinny, you fat. So what? I'm looking at the personality. Do we get along? How well do we mesh? Or is it one of them, hi, how you doing about? Or you could be sitting right next to me and I don't know you there because of the situation. But I'm looking at a person's heart, the way they interact with people, the way they are, versus anything else. But yes, you have those situations and it's pitiful.
Now, I have to ask you a question. Your complexion. Have you had issues with being of a lighter complexion?
Yes.
Share.
I done been called light bright, light skin, red bone, everything. Yes, I've had some darker people shade me because I'm lighter. People question, are you all black? Just, which I can't say. And it's, I've had some prejudices because I'm a little bit lighter, but then I've also had some prejudices because I'm darker than some other fairer skinned black people. I mean, it's just, and it's pitiful because the way the world is going now, we all need to stick together. I don't care if you like bright damn near white to black is cold, black is midnight. Just the way the world is going now, we need to stick together. But black people ain't never going to do that. We have this crabs in the barrel mentality where when somebody is, almost to the top, they're reaching you, trying to pull you back down. For what? The person that's on top should be pulling the next one up, not the opposite way. And that's just, I'm not going to say that's the way of the world because we shouldn't be like that. We really shouldn't.
Going to a parochial school versus public school, have you felt discriminated against amongst your own race?
Yes, I was always getting picked on because, like I said, because I did go to a Catholic school, and because they just I went to a Catholic school. You talk like a white girl. No, I talk like proper English. What are you talking about? What is that?
But how did that make you feel when they said
that about you? Like I spent a lot of my freshman and half of my sophomore year until I decided to start fighting back, being picked on because I came from a Catholic school, or because they figure because of where I live versus where everybody else lived.
So you weren't black enough,
right? I lived up the hill compared to everybody else that lived down the hill or in the projects. That's everybody used it person. You was tough using the neighborhood. Well, you way up there. I can't help it. My parents worked hard to provide a good home. We're in a good neighborhood where we lived. I don't have nothing to do with that. I'm a child, but I got picked on because of my color, because of the way I talk, because I came from a Catholic school, because I wasn't popular enough, because a lot of things, because I was a bigger girl. It bothered me until I started fighting.
I want to talk about this big thing. Like, do you mind sharing with us? Like,
well, compared to then, I wasn't that big. Like, by the time I became a senior, I was wearing a size 12. I was big compared to some of the rest of the girls.
Okay.
They were nice and little and petite, most of them. Now, we had some of the girls that was, a lot bigger than me. But them was the ones that you dang sure didn't mess with. Because they just went, and you flying across the room. They did not mess with them. But there again,
because you graduate wearing a size 12. I don't know if... Well, I'm trying to think.
But you got to go back.
You got to go back. So what was the average size then?
The average size back then was like a 3.
A 3?
If you was a 5'7", you was a little bit on the thick side.
Huh. It was about a 3. Think back, Kim.
I was going to say I was somewhere between like a 5 and an 8. It depends.
5 and 8 was
10,
what?
12 childs.
5 and 8 was what?
That's what she was
5,
in.
6, 7, 8. I didn't start wearing 9, 10s until I was out of high school. I was about a 7, 8.
Ooh, child, I wish I could wear a 9, 10 when I was in high school.
And see, you're tiny now. So I want to ask you those same questions. Being of a darker complexion, have you found that you were discriminated against amongst our own people?
6th grade was the last year that I went to a public school.
Okay.
So you know how you play kickball and they roll the ball, and you know how you get that running start to kick the ball? So when I would run to kick the ball, everybody would chant, "Kill it, skill it!"
Jesus.
Look, oh my gosh, I have not. What?
So yes, I was definitely picked on because of my shade.
Well, was that like? I think that was just the wrong kind of pep talk.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. That's what I'm like.
Because
Kill it.
Because they say
you
you gonna hit the ball.
No, I was skillet all day, but that was their time to get it. Everybody in my class had a name.
Okay.
And mine was Skillet. And there was one girl in the class.
So you was cold to kickball then?
No, I really wasn't.
Oh.
It was just that was their opportunity to say kill it, Skillet.
Oh, okay.
Just like I was always City
or
Chester.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there was one girl in the class who was darker than I was, and she was Spook. So she would literally be talking to someone, and they'd say, "Do you hear something?" Because I can't see where it's coming from.
Oh.
Wow.
So, yeah, the two of us, we were identified by our color. Skillet and Spook.
How did you handle that?
Well, because everybody had a name, it was part of what you dealt with. However, outside of the classroom, back then, you were only fine if you were light-skinned with good hair. That was it. Girl, he fine. He light-skinned.
He got a curl.
Afro.
Oh, you
remember
the afro? His
light
was
skin
curl
with the afro, because this was before the curls started coming out.
Okay,
so I'm a couple years older than you. So it was that light skin with the afro, or she's pretty because she's light with good hair. So if you didn't fit into the light skin good hair category as a female, or the light skin afro category as a male, then there was something wrong with you.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now let's fast forward to high school when you went to parochial school. Were you discriminated against amongst your own?
Not so much 7th and 8th grade, but when I hit high school, I was called Hasidity all the time.
So you went from Killit Skillet to Hasidity.
And there was and there's a certain status that went with going to the high school that I went to at the time. There were only 2 in the town. So if you went to one of those, there was a certain status that went with that.
$7,775 in 2012 per year.
Yeah,
so I ain't no telling.
So yeah, so as soon as I said where I went, and I was much more acceptable with white people because of the school I went to. My black friends, though, I have to say this, were my friends before I went into the parochial school system. None of them changed toward me because I went to a private school.
Okay.
So I didn't have that issue. I do remember, though, going on Ron Daniels, and people were talking, and they had to
shout out to Ron Daniels.
And we had to say what school we went to when we talked. And so, I got up to speak, and they said, what school do you go to? And I went, Ursuline. Because I knew that if I didn't say I went to East, South Rand, Wilson, or whatever, that I was going to get that look. So I got home, my mother reamed me out. She said, don't you ever do that again. So the next time I went on Ron Daniels, shout out to Ron Daniels, he said, what school do you go to? I was like, I go to Ursuline. So that I would, but it was because you want to fit in with the people that you most identify with.
Okay.
I had gone to school with these other people for years, and I knew them from the church or the Y or whatever. So I can't really say that I was discriminated against, but yes, there was a certain status and stigma attached to me because I went to that private school.
Okay. Did you want to piggyback on that?
I don't know.
Okay. I've noticed that there are people who have been brought up in parochial schools, went to predominantly white schools where they were only the black kid or black child. Let me correct that while she's staring at me. And then once they got with people who look like us, then they went all the way to the left. Mm-hmm. And I think trying to fit in, like, where's that balance? What can we do to actually make sure that, because I'm going to say, I know some young girls, 25, 26, and I communicated with a few of them, and that's why I had to bring this up, and I was really outdone. There was one thing that was fair complected, where she felt that she wasn't black enough. Then you had one that was browner, beautiful skin, who felt that she was having issues because she wasn't light enough. So neither one, both of them very, very pretty. The two that I did speak to together, very pretty, but they wanted to be each other.
But that, and that is not limited to our education system. That's, like you said, within our own culture. There are people in our own culture who will point you out because of your complexion. And it's sad to say that we identify our own sense of value based on the complexion of our skin, and then we get upset when other races do it to us, but we do it to ourselves.
Oh. My point exactly.
And so what you do in that situation is you make that person understand their value no matter what complexion they are. My mom is the darkest of her siblings with both of my grandparents. She has half siblings, but she has two whole siblings, and she was the middle child and the darkest child. And when she was in school, they called her that old black magic. So she was really sensitive about her complexion because her siblings looked like you. She looked like me.
Your mother?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Because she seemed lighter. She seemed like lighter complected.
But she's dark compared to my grandparents are about your complexion, my aunt and uncle your complexion. She was the only one who looked like me. And that really did affect her. She overcompensated for that because, she went to East High School at a time where there was more white people than black people. And she, excelled academically, but she has always had to deal with that overcompensation because of her complexion. So yes, I know that it matters.
Just like the overcompensation.
And it trickled down to us because her kids had to be okay because we were dark. My cousins are more your complexion. So yeah, a complexion, but it came from within the family as well as in the schools. So I think that it starts at home, that you should be valued no matter what you look like. And I'm not just saying complexion, I'm talking level of attractiveness, intelligence, because for some reason we pull all of that out and capitalize on that, and they leave lasting effects on people. So the answer to the question is we need to learn to love self first.
And that's what we're trying to teach my brother's oldest daughter. She's dark skinned because my brother's dark skinned. Her other siblings, her mother's other children, well, except for the oldest boy, and the only boy, he's, brown skinned. The other girls are lighter, the older sisters. They always picked with her when she was little, after she got out of the baby phase. Talked about her to the point where my mom was so upset the one day she was ready to beat them kids to death because the baby, now by this time I think Tamaya might have been 5. She's 5 or 6. She's crying and asking her mother for bleach, and her mom was like, "What's the matter?" Because that side of the family calls her chocolate because she was the chocolate baby. "What's the matter, Tamaya?" She was like, "Because I want bleach. I want to scrub my skin. I want to be light skinned like my sister." Because it picked with her so much because she was so dark. My brother went off. He went off. And this is within your own family, your own sisters. He went off.
And see, that's where I was going with that when you said to overcompensate. So it's almost like I have to overcompensate in my household or within my own community, like as if we're overcompensating at the workplace. Because even with me, when I was in management, I felt like I had to overcompensate because I was the only face in the place.
Oh, that definitely happens in the professional field. Yeah. Oh my goodness!
And it was like I had to always be ready. It was like, okay, read up, do the research, and that was within me.
Yeah,
they didn't say that was it within me, but when they had a question, I had an answer, or I'll get back to you.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. But it wasn't accepted if I say, okay, 1 second, let me check on that, versus somebody else that was Caucasian, that they'd be like, oh, I don't even know. But then they would come to me and ask me that same question. But guess what? I had the answer. But I felt like I had to overcompensate, be totally prepared, make sure I got my book right next to me. Yeah. Let me look that up to give you this answer. And that was within me, period, outside versus within, our own culture. And I think that it's a sad thing. And that's why I wanted to do this show. Let's bring this to the forefront.
Okay, so we're nurses. Mm-hmm. My specialty area is home care.
Okay.
So I don't have to tell you how I had to prepare myself every time I went to a new home because they did not know if they were going to get a black nurse or a white nurse. So every time I went into a home where my patients were white, I had to brace for the impact because I never knew if they were going to receive me into the home. I have had patients ask me, and it's just conversation, what side of town are you from? And I would tell them I'm, from the east side. And they'll say, well, what year did you graduate from East? And I'll say, well, I graduated from Ursuline in 83. Oh, you're a good breed, huh?
Oh, what? Oh.
Now, this has been said to me. I have taken care, I've told the story of the blind woman that I took care of, who talked about black people for 35 minutes before she finally said, honey, I cannot pick up an accent on you. What are you? And every racial slur that she used in that 35 minutes, I identified. I said, I'm a lazy, colored, black, so-and-so, whatever.
You used all that adjectives?
I put it right back at her the way she gave it to me. Because I needed for her to understand that exactly what you think we are, we're not. Because if we were that, you wouldn't even be okay right now. We have to prove that we are not the stereotype. Mm-hmm. And you learn to live with that. It's come to me because I've gone to the school I went to. I remember when I first moved out to my suburb, and the guy asked me where I lived, patient, and I told him, "Are you renting or buying?"
None of your business.
See, but what I'm saying is, the other cultures don't understand what we live with. Mm-hmm. I live with this. When I went to become a nurse, I was the only black person in my class. My white friends finally told me that we commend you for staying in the class because I could not have stayed in a room full of black people like you stayed in a room full of white people. Oh, I said, but why allow you to get the education and not me? Yeah, why would I do that?
The crazy thing about that is that they don't know what it is to be in that situation because if the roles were reversed, they always they're not judged like we are in their world.
That's right.
You know what I mean? So it's kind of like they're saying that without having the experience to say it.
Exactly.
Right.
You know?
Right, exactly.
So it's like, how can you say something negative about you being in a group full of black people when you have never done it? You know what I mean? Like when's the last time you invited a black person to your house? You know what I mean? That it goes back to that conversation. But I do agree though that we have to be more prepared than our white counterparts.
Yes.
Because I mean, a lot of like I was telling my son, I was like, you need to know what you need to know the field that you are going into. It's not good enough for you just to get the degree, because unfortunately you don't have the connections to be able to just get, a job. You know what I mean? Like some people who I knew a kid, all he had to do was graduate from college, and
born with a bachelor's.
All he had to do was graduate, and his father was like, "Hey, I'll hook you. All you gotta do is graduate," and he couldn't do that. But but the thing was that he was white, but he had that opportunity of just being able to be good enough, and we don't have that opportunity
My
to be
mama
good
always
enough.
said that never be good. You're never gonna be good enough. You got to be better than.
Because even when you try to be, even when you're working towards excellence, it's still people that will make a judgment call about, well, maybe we shouldn't. Maybe it's too radical of an idea to have you versus someone who we feel safer with. You know what I mean? And so what's making you safe? What makes you feel safer with that other person? Well, it may be because that other person looks like you.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I've felt like there's been plenty of jobs where I feel like I've been discriminated on against, but also I felt like in certain situations where I've been discriminated with my color, with my age, and with my sex.
Oh, I was going to say gender.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Well, yeah, especially in your field, no doubt.
Definitely. Yeah.
I have to ask you a question. Being a black male, do you guys experience the same things that the females experience as far as like with the jigaboo wannabe type thing? Like you're not light enough, you don't have light eyes, or you're not dark enough, you're not Mendingo.
I had a really good friend who rest in peace, and he used to always.
I know you're talking about. I think I know. Look, you started laughing. He used to say he hate light skinned people.
Pretty much. I don't know if he, but pretty much. He used to, he just. I mean, like, could I see that there was a difference? Yeah, I mean, like even like growing up, I had like I got a lot of fair skinned relatives, and I don't know. I wouldn't see it so much in the family. You know what I mean? I mean, people would pick on people, for example, for whatever reason. Mm-hmm. But it was, I don't know, because we a bunch of good looking people, so it's hard to just discriminate.
To say I was
a prejudiced dog.
You had a prejudiced dog.
And the only reason he was like that is because our little neighbors.
Who taught the dog how to be prejudiced?
The neighbors next door, the one little light-skinned boy used to pick when we weren't there. He would pick with him all the time, throw rocks at him, hit him with sticks when we weren't around. So therefore, he didn't like anybody light-skinned or white. If you come, my brother's friend came over, the little white friend came over, and Keebler chased him up the tree. We had to get Keebler. And
your dog's name was Keebler.
I named him Keebler. I sure did.
Cookie.
But he was a Cocker Spaniel German Shepherd mix. Love my dog to death, but because of our neighbor that used to pick with him all the time,
so anybody didn't look like him.
Look like him. He was at you. So whenever David would come over, we would have to put him downstairs in the basement if the kids were outside, and then when they were coming in, we had to take him and chain him up outside.
Now I'll tell you something that's really interesting. With usually your first friends are your cousins. Those are your first friends. So kind of like you were saying, it was kind of hard not within your family because it's just that you're just who you are.
Right.
Never once have I, and we have so many different hues like you, like you said, in our family, that I never looked at the color of the person. Never even described like, oh, that's my light-skinned cousin, that's my dark-skinned cousin. Never. It was just like, that's real, that's Sean, that's, you know what I mean? It was just the name. And when I was talking to those young girls, and at this time, now it's 4 of them, And they told me, they was like, well, you probably, the two of them, they said, you probably never had to deal with that. And then I ended up calling a few of my friends that they made me more aware. I was like, oh yeah, she's darker than me. Let me call and ask her. So I'm talking to her. I'm talking. She's like, Joe, you ain't never have to worry about that. That's why ain't nobody like you. I said, huh? And she was like, they really didn't like you. And my mother told me that. I was like, no, those are my friends. Because I didn't have to deal with what they had to deal with. And I had no idea. I had no idea that they felt that teachers were nicer to me because of my complexion.
Wow.
Now that's deep. And I'm like, teachers.
I had a friend who had 3 sons. 2 of her sons were extremely light. 1 of her sons was dark.
Okay.
Prior to the dark one was the youngest one. So before he started school, the other 2 boys are in school. The mom goes to parent-teacher conference for the 2 lighter-skinned boys. Mm-hmm. And they get into this discussion about race. She looks light, the kids look light. They don't know about the dark son. Well, you know that when it comes to black people, the darker they are, the meaner they are. This was the teacher to the mother. He didn't know the mother had a son my color.
That's bananas.
That's crazy.
So dark people see it from a different perspective, as I'm sure our lighter skinned people do too. But yes, it's there.
Well, I'm going to tell you something that's interesting because even, when I thought back, I remember we were at like our family reunion. I was like, well, me and my one cousin, we the darkest ones on the side, on that particular side. But I just never looked at it from that point. But I had to tell my one friend, I said, listen, I get it. Because not long ago, what was that about, 6 months ago? I was telling you about I worked out in East Liverpool. And the lady said, oh, you're the help. I said, I just looked at her, but I looked at her age. And I knew who I was dealing with. I said, I guess you could say that. And then the one lady said, can you help me? I said, well, you're going to have to ask her if I'm allowed to help you. And it was like, okay, it was simple. And the other nurse that was there, she was like, I am so sorry. I was like, it's okay. Because I understood. That lady was 93. So you have to look at, okay, how old? Yeah, I guess you're looking at the help. Here you are, boom, and go from there. Now, there's some cases where you shared a while ago on a few shows back where they thought I was, I guess the aide. They didn't know I was a nurse. Yeah. And then it was like, oh, no, I said, after I pass these meds, I'll go ahead and I'll do, oh, wait a minute. Well, where's the nurse? I am your nurse.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But you have to take into consideration the age that they are, you know what I mean? And stuff like that doesn't really offend me. But the incident with the blind woman that you encountered was different. But I just think that it's just really odd. And you're absolutely right. We all encounter different things. And it's like, am I not black enough within our own race? And, and it's like, well, wait a minute. Who accepts me? Now let's go with they call them, I'm using air quotes, people, the mixed kids. Some white people call them half breeds or whatever. The mixed kids. You got light eyes. We got family members that got light eyes. And it's like, they are more socially accepted, especially in the 80s. So with your boy, that was the style when you're younger than when you're older. Because I take a dark skinned dude any day. As an adult. Because I got my own thoughts. Go ahead.
The more and more we talk about this, the more I think about like the cousins that I hung out with the most when I was younger were way lighter than me.
Yes.
One of them had hazel eyes and was like, but he inherited those hazel eyes from my dark skinned grandfather. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
He was like my grandfather's probably my complexion with hazel eyes. You know what I mean? But or green eyes, I should say he had. But I don't know. I don't know.
I wonder from a male's perspective, because first of all, the odds, and I'm just being honest, the odds are against you as a black male in getting a job.
Yeah.
Off top. Do you think that if you were lighter, you would face the same criticism or the same controversy that you do now? And you probably don't know that you...
I think
you probably don't know what's going on behind that door.
Yeah, but I think what I can say,
what she was saying, the darker you are, the meaner you are.
I remember this. I got this one job, and later on, I found out that I was the second choice for that job, And basically I got it because the other person turned it down, who happened to be she was a black woman, but she was not, I don't know, like, I guess the issue was that she would, I think the organization leaned towards her more, not because of her experience, because, but because she was a woman versus me being a man.
Less controversial.
Yeah. But, I did good work when I was there, so.
Did you feel like you had to overcompensate?
I think I had to do what I had to go in there and be myself. You know what I mean? And I'm an overachiever, especially in the workplace.
Are.
So it's like, I think some people couldn't handle that, but I had to have a conversation with my supervisor and tell her, I'm like, hey, I'm just here to do this work. And you may ask me for something. And if I see something that I feel like you need to be made aware of, I'm going to give you that and what you asked for, but give you a reference on why I'm giving you this information. And, I really tried to support a person who I think she grew to like it after she realized that I wasn't trying to like show her up, and I never tried to show her up like it was, but I'm like, hey, they may ask you this, and this is what I found in here. You should have this information, but it was kind of like one of those things where like over time, she became more comfortable with the idea, because I think that she realized I was more of an asset than the issue, but it was this like, sometimes people don't understand that you just came to just do like, hey, my thing is like, I don't want your job. I want the boss's job, not your job. You can have your job all day long. So until I can get the boss's job, I'm just working to do the best I can in this situation. And in that, it was like I forgot where it was in church. I heard it, but I can't remember where it came from. But it talked about exalting leadership, and like sometimes you have to do that. Like if I'm in there and I see that my boss is floundering, but they relied on me to give them information. Okay. Then am I as good as an employee as I should be if they relied on me, but I didn't share with them the whole truth because they only asked for one thing?
Well, okay.
Well, I mean, sometimes you don't realize that you may need more, and so like when I think. In that situation, that person's mind is over these particular issues, and my focus was just on that particular thing. So I could see the A through Z of that one function, where that person can probably only say, okay, I need A, G, and Z or whatever, but not all of it, but not understanding that how those things interconnect.
I want you to share with the listening audience the experience that you had when it was like an in-service and some lady was just speaking and you didn't say anything and then she...
Oh, actually that was not even an in-service. It was a meeting that I had with a judge. Okay. And it was me and a few other people, and the judge was sharing about this idea. And I'm just sitting there just looking. I'm interested because I first of all, I came
listening attentively.
And this person, I voted for a few times, you know what I mean? And so I'm there, I'm listening attentively, and then she just broke out, just went off course and was like, hey, did I say something to offend you? And I'm like, it's only like 4 of us in the room, so I'm looking around, and unfortunately, when I look around, ain't nobody behind me because everybody else, I got like the last seat. I'm like, oh, she talking to me, and I'm like, no, I'm just listening. And it made me feel like in that moment, how many people have come in front of this person for judgment, and because of how she perceived their look, she may have given them more time or a tougher, sentence or whatever it is. You know what I mean? Because she doesn't, because of how she felt about the situation. Now, she did ask me, at least she asked me if it was an issue, but think about the people who won't ask you. And they just make a judgment call, So I'm here just listening to you, and then maybe she felt like maybe what she was saying was some BS, and she thought she was being called on it. But I'm just listening. I ain't making a judgment call on it because in this situation, it was out of the realm. I had no power in the situation. Like even if I did make a comment, it wouldn't have probably mattered anyway because I didn't have the locus of control in that situation. But what I felt like was that if you are this judgmental and wrong about your judgment in this situation, how many people have come before you who have probably gotten a raw deal because of how you perceive them to be?
Right.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. All right, next question. If there was something that you were trying to persuade or have people to buy into, and I don't want to say as if you're like manipulating their minds or anything, have you found that your most resistant audience is the color, people of color, us? I'm gonna go right around, and so hold on. Go ahead.
I'm gonna say it's 50-50.
Okay.
It depends on the circumstances, but I will say this. When I was buying my house, I had just come out of a divorce.
Okay.
I could not charge a bottle of water. Money was messed up.
Okay.
At that time, there were several black-owned realtors in the area.
Mm-hmm.
Not a single one of them would help me. They didn't care that I had a good job. They didn't care how much money I was making. All they saw was, you are at a deficit financially. We have nothing for you. Coincidentally, one of my black friends had just bought a house from a white realtor, and so she hooked me up with her. Between her and the woman who helped me get my home financed, both white women, they took me step by step by step by step how to deal with the situation that I was in. I looked at one house, and I'm selling it now 23 years later.
Wow.
All right.
So I do have to say that, it was kind of heartbreaking for me to go to all of these black people who just shut the door in my face. They ran my credit report, which was jacked at the time. And I said, but look at what I do for a living.
Yeah.
I can rebound here. They didn't hear nothing. They didn't hear any of that. So in that situation, yes, it was definitely a bitter taste in my mouth for my own race of people, because it was the Caucasians who got me my home.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me get Nick's first. Go ahead.
Being that I'm just now trying to get into doing different things, business wise.
Okay. So as an adult,
have found out, sometimes your own people don't support you, but then these are the same ones yelling about supporting your own race. It's like, because I know a lot of people that are doing interior decorating, or they're doing event planning, or they like to cook, and it's like everybody is working against each other. They want you to support them, but in turn don't want to support you. And it's like, okay, well, because really, you can get a network of people, network on, because everybody's doing something different. Get together, form a big business. Well, I got an event planner that can plan this event for you. I can cook for you. And then if you want to go out of town, then I know this person that can hook you up and get you a good deal on a room, a flight, or this or that. I mean, everybody wants, they want you to support, but then they're fighting against each other with that. And it's like, I don't understand. I really don't. I don't understand that.
okay, so you find that your own don't support you.
Exactly. But they want to be supported.
Yeah.
Where they do that at?
Around the world. Around the world.
Like,
but that's when you have to say, I'm not, let me just be me. I will support something that is beneficial to me regardless of your race. And they say, okay, well, we need to help each other. We need to support black businesses. I'll support all businesses. I'm not just going to just not support this one. If it's beneficial to me, if they have something that I need, if they offer something that I need as a consumer, this is what I'm looking for. If it's a black business and they have something that I need, this is what I'm looking for, and I will go here. If I go to a business, and I'm not going to put a color on there, I'm not putting that on there, but if I know I can get this over here for $30, and then I go over here to support, and you're charging me $50, why do I have to spend $50 when I could spend $30 for the same exact product coming from the same distributor?
Right.
Oh, well, you're not supporting your own. Well, they robbing me blind.
You trying to get price gouge. Get out of here.
So my point is, just shop around. Either you're going to be a business person or you're not. Go
Good
ahead.
point. Having owned businesses, I must say I never promoted my businesses as a Black business. I promoted the quality of my products and my services and let the customers come. There were some people who were kind of upset with me for doing that.
Okay.
Because they were like, well, you need to let people know that you are a minority business and you need to let people know, where you are. My money is green and my quality is high. That's it.
Money is green, quality is high.
Hey,
That's the color right there.
right. That's it. I'm like,
The
I like
universal
that.
color.
The truth, the truth.
The truth comes out,
Yeah.
right? But that's the
That's
truth. The
just how I did
quality.
it.
The quality. How can you? How do you think that we can persuade people into buying into what we want? What we're selling, what we're trying to give, what we're trying to teach people today. And that's why I did this show, Shades. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. And I had to bring in my boy Kanye because he's dealing with that right now. It's crazy how you do well and then you have your own that's fighting against you. What is it? A prophet is unknown in his own land?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Come on. We have to. And they're like, oh, we need to unite. We need to come together. Yes, we do. But just like Nick was saying, the person that's screaming, we need to unite and we need to come together is just to benefit them. It's not for everybody else. Then you have those, and this, I'm segueing into the next part. You have those who are having something or selling something. They want you to buy into what they're doing, and we pro-Black, and this is it. But they keep doing stuff over and over and don't give anybody else the opportunity to do it. And then you have an attitude when nobody comes to every single one of your events, but you won't even come to somebody else's. I think that's an issue.
Yeah, I think like part of the issue I've had, and when I say 50-50, is like people buying into an idea that they like. Sometimes it's like people want to have they claim they want to do radical things, but then they don't want to embrace radical thinking.
Yes,
you know what I mean. And like sometimes, not that it's so far off the beaten path. But it's just like in the job I told you, you gotta wait till the applause. It's like so much applause, so much. Oh, thank you, I appreciate it. But it was like just like the job I told you about. Like there was some things that truly needed to be reformed there, and so it was like one of those things where like, okay, are you willing to buy into this radical thinking that we have to reshape what we do?
Okay.
And they were, and we did, and we were successful. And then there's people who are like, well, that ain't what we used to do. And that ain't what we've been doing. And sometimes what you've been doing ain't been right. You know, like look at your situation. Like I had there was a situation where I had a worker who was underneath, who was my subordinate, and she was not taking lunch. She would not take lunch, to the point where I told her that, hey, I'm going to write you up if you don't take lunch. And then, so she was like, well, I can't, I don't think I can get the work done because of where I got to travel and all this kind of stuff. So if I don't take lunch, then it's going to, then I'm going to fall behind. I was like, if you fall behind because you took lunch, then that's my issue.
Right.
You know what I mean? So let's work on a situation to be able to make this fair and balanced across the board, because I had people who had like little bit of territory here, but then her territory was all over the county. You know, so yeah, if you got to drive 45 minutes to get to a place and then do the work and then drive back or wherever you got to drive, then we got to figure out how do we make this a workable situation for you to have a positive work-life balance. Now, the reason people will say, well, it's this lunch. Well, it's an hour lunch that she was contracted to have because they were a union. And it got to the point where I told another union person, I said, hey, would you tell this person to take their lunch? and so the person, you know, because at first the people got mad at me. They was coming like they wanted to fight me. I was like, so you know, like they was upset at me. I said, so y'all mad at me because I'm telling her to take the lunch that y'all negotiated. Right? That's what y'all, you know, and it's like, oh, we didn't really. I was like, that's all I'm trying to say. I was like, I need to be able to look at the situation to fix what's going on in order for her to have a better work environment. And so from that point, we were able to work with that. But the thing was, it was like radical thinking on one end to say, hey, we got to take into account the time that's traveled. And so what you want this person to do in 6 weeks may only legitimately be able to be done in 8. Okay. And what do we lose for those 2 extra weeks? We get actually a better outcome because there's more time invested in the person that she's doing the individualized work with versus trying to go door to door to meet this our arbitrary time limit that we set upon them when our focus should be quality and not quantity over a certain amount of time.
And the flip side to that is, if she's doing this without lunch and you see that her productivity is high, and let's say she vacates that position and someone else steps into it and they're taking their lunch.
Oh yeah, she was killing it.
But now the productivity has dropped because the person is taking their lunch, and it's looking like, well, the job can be done because person A did it. Yeah, but person A wasn't taking lunch. Person B is taking lunch. So now person B is catching heat where legitimately they shouldn't be catching heat because person A was legitimately doing beyond what should have been done for the position. And that happens all the time. Yeah. People being accountable for not doing it the way it should have been done.
And one of the crazy things that happened, because I ended up spotting a really good friendship with this person who I supervised. But one of the things we would do is I'm like, well, on Wednesdays, I'm going to make sure you take an hour lunch because we're going to lunch together. Wings on me. You know what I mean? So it was kind of like that was our thing, you know? But it was one of those things, like as a supervisor, I had to be able to logically explain to my higher up that we need to change how we do things because we're setting a limit that only is causing stress with people who are doing a job that should be stress free. And I'm an early education person, and I kind of felt like this. It's like everybody here should be the happiest people on earth. You know what I mean? How could you have a bad day working with little kids?
Right, little people.
The only way you have a bad day is that the adults have an issue. And the issue is that we weren't tracking how we could do this job better.
Okay.
So,
next question. Do you vote for someone just because they're black?
No.
Pass?
What?
That's a question that I'm asking. If you had, just regardless of what they stood for, do you vote for them because they're black? I.e., President Obama.
Okay, him I did vote because he was black.
But you kept it real. I appreciate that.
I just think the thing is like, if people really didn't know who Barack Obama was in our first election, you might have took a chance to say, well, he the brother, let me vote for him.
Okay.
But your gamble pay it off. You know what I mean? Like it was a gamble.
Hopefully y'all did some research because I didn't check it too. But go ahead.
Because I remember when he first came on the scene, and my little sister was like, "Man, you got to check this dude out," and I was like, "Man," because
she's a smart girl.
Yeah, and the only reason she said it, when she said it, I did it. But at first, when it was coming up, I was like, "Oh, it's Hillary all day long." You know what I mean? And then she was like, "You got to check out this dude. I'm telling you." And I was like, "Oh yeah, he the truth." And so I think a lot of people saw that.
Okay, go ahead. What's your thoughts?
I don't think that you should vote for a person because of their color. However, I did vote for Barack Obama because he was black. And he was also the Democrat. So had he been the Republican, I don't know if I would have had to think about that.
Okay.
If he was a Republican, I
like
but you know
I like the honesty.
But if it was Colin Powell, though, let's say Colin Powell ran as a Republican.
Would you have voted?
I don't know. I would have had.
Now the thing is, I tell you this. I would tell you, like if it was Obama versus Colin Powell, I think Colin Powell would have won.
Okay.
If you could play that, if we could have like if you could play out that scenario, I think it'd won. But let's say it was Colin Powell as a Republican versus Hillary Clinton. Colin Powell. I would have personally voted for Colin Powell. And not just because he was black, but because like his temperance in war was just so profound. Like the dude was so amazing at the job he did. And then you got to think about like sometimes what it takes to be a 4-star general in America. You know what I mean? Like I remember one time I told this young dude, because he said something to me about something. I said, you don't even know what I had to do to get in this position, and then what I had to do to be able to have this conversation with y'all right now.
And it wasn't a Me Too moment.
It wasn't none of that. It was just like, going through it, like sometimes the things you go through impact people on the other side, but sometimes the people that you impact don't realize the things you had to go through. And I just kind of think like I think Colin Powell would have been an excellent president.
Okay, go ahead.
What this question is doing for me personally is making me realize how important it is to know what you're voting for, to understand issues, to know politics, to know parties, because the question in it of itself poses a greater issue for us in America, that we are looking at personalities as opposed to the true issues that run our country. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm thinking. Like, wow.
Because I think
what's your thoughts?
Like I said, I voted for Obama because he was black. But had the tables been turned and he would have been a Republican, I probably wouldn't have done it so much because I'm just Democrat, period. But yeah.
So you voted for him because he was a Democrat?
Because he was Democrat and he was a black Democrat. Now, from here on out, you are going to make me start doing research before, because I never did before. I'm like, okay, I'm straight Democrat. If as long as they're Democrat, okay, do. Oh, he a black Democrat. Here you go. But
okay,
now
so that was
right.
That just helped you out.
Now that just really helped me to be like, girlfriend, you better do now. I knew enough not to vote for Trump, even if I was
okay. But hold on a second.
I knew enough not to vote for him because.
Okay, wait a second. On that, when President Barack Obama was running, there were seniors that would not vote for him because he was black.
Right.
Now that's something you got to really think about.
Because I remember there was a conversation. My grandmother did vote for him, but there was this conversation where she felt like he was going to get killed. And I was like, well, it's better for him to be killed as president than for him to be killed as senator. You know what I mean? I'm saying, like, vote, let's get him in.
So what she
and we'll
dealt
deal with the assassination if it happens.
I
but,
that too.
You know,
I saw seniors who felt the exact same way. They were afraid
for him
and for his time as president, both terms.
Yeah.
There were people who were afraid for him
just because
he was black.
Then
I encountered a senior that said felt as though that a black man in power, like he couldn't be in power. Like, I don't want no black man telling me what to do or running. You know what I mean? Felt like they were not as smart, you know what I mean, as the white man. However, I don't condemn her for that because clearly it was an upbringing. And then to follow up with that, to say, oh, I can't believe somebody brought somebody Hispanic. They're lower than us. So at some point, somebody told this person that they were low.
Right.
And bringing that up, the issue, the race within itself, racism, within your own race, it happens with different cultures. Even like in India, they feel as though the darker you are, the poorer you are.
Oh yeah, they got a caste system.
Yeah. It's the same thing. There was somebody from India whose wedding reception was canceled when they realized the complexion that she was from that particular venue. So this is not just an American thing. This is like worldwide.
And it's also gender, because there were women of all colors and races and ethnicities who thought Barack Obama was so attractive. They voted for him because of the way he looked.
He did look good, honey. He was a good looking guy.
There were women who said they would vote for him because of the way he looked.
At the time, there was a white woman. This is what she said to me about Barack Obama. She says, he doesn't make me feel guilty for the past that I had nothing to do with.
Interesting.
That was her thing. Like, she's like, I don't, you know what I mean? Like, she's because I think she's like, I'm Irish, and we always had this and all that. She was talking about what the Irishman's plight was or whatever. And she like, but he just doesn't make me feel guilty.
That's good.
But whatever. I mean, it was weird to hear, but I was like, okay, because
you have people who are Caucasian. I mean, you have us that's constantly saying, I want my 40 acres and a mule, and you did this, and they keep focusing on slavery, even though that's what's taught, slavery, and it annoys me when they talk about our ancestors were slaves. What about our ancestors that were kings and queens? Exactly. It's like they didn't teach us that. You just stopped right there, and let's just keep these people suppressed. let's just talk about this. Even when they first come into elementary, okay, what you know about black people, slavery. That bothers me. And what bothers me most is that as a parent, we don't teach our children what was before. And I'm going to say this, and y'all probably wondering why it ties together. That's why I am so behind the public school system and us having the right to elect our board members. Like she said, black board. We go black. And the reason is because I said, okay, our ancestors, what they teach us is our ancestors were slaves. What about our ancestors that were kings and queens? Now, see how it just evolved around? It's like, okay, and we're stuck. Now we have public school systems. So just think about our great-grands, and we have gone on. And then they'll be saying, oh, our ancestors used to be able to have public school system. Were able to actually benefit from the public school system. Now there's no choice. Just think about that. So that's why I'm like, we need to get behind this. And it seems minor, but just think about it.
It's extremely major.
It is extremely major.
We're so focused on the negative parts of history. My great-grandparents owned a grocery store on Albert Street. My great-grandparents. So I was raised in the mindset of entrepreneurship and business-minded thinking. So, but people don't hear about those things. People don't hear, I think Rugal made an excellent point last week when we talked about the socioeconomic status of those who are being educated in the public school system. We need to look at the resources. We need to look at some of the other things that are necessary.
Leave us with the option.
Help families, not just the students. We have to look at families. We're not family-centered anymore. As a community.
And as a community,
censored, and
yes, we are. We are status censored. And here's my issue. It's almost like, well, if it doesn't affect me, then I'm not worried about it. Well, guess what? It can affect your offsprings. And that's where my issue is at. It's like, speak now. If you're able to speak, speak now. They're fighting, and I'm putting this out here, and y'all know I ain't with the politics at all, but I have to say, we are fighting for the future. And those are our little people that will come down, your cousin, whatever, even if you're not in the area. It's like, wait a minute, let us have that option, choice, freedom of choice. Just because you weren't raised in poverty don't mean that you won't experience it. Don't mean that your offsprings won't experience it. So with that being said, people pay attention. What is happening right now will affect the future.
And once upon a time, there was no negative stigma with going to a public school.
At all.
So let's go back to focus on what went right with the system, not what went wrong with it.
Right. No, right.
Yeah. I mean, because there's like, okay, some politics. We did go down to, we didn't go to Columbus, but we had a hearing with the Supreme Court. And I happened to be there. It was in Montpelier, Ohio, which is damn near Indiana.
That's what I was about to say.
It was like a 4-hour drive, but we got on the bus and we went down there and we showed up. And it seems like things are going good.
Good.
From the comments that were made by the Supreme Court's justices, it seems like, I mean, there was one guy who kind of had me like, it's always one, it's always one dude, But for the most part, it seemed if we were to say how the justices were going to vote on the ruling based off of their comments, it seemed positive.
And that's good. Now we have the election coming up, and I had some people who inboxed me, and they were like, well, should we even vote for the school board?
If it's on the ballot, vote.
Like now, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, vote anyway. Don't just leave it blank.
Yeah.
And I also want to put this out there. The school board president right now in the city of Youngstown, who's been fighting, who has not just sat down, and that's the thing, she's a fighter. You want to keep her in there so that she could continue to fight. Because you don't know who the next person is that you'll put in there, and will they say, "Okay, I'm up for this fight," or will they just go ahead and just lay down and lead? Let the state go ahead and do their thing.
Think about this. His name? Yeah, think about this. If there weren't people fighting the issue, then you would be in a situation where your district would still be getting taken advantage of. Because that's essentially what's happening under HB 70. It's not an issue for school reform as it is to break down the school the public school structure as we know it. Think about this. If you're the CEO and you had control over total control operational and managerial control over the district for 4 years, and if you fail for those 4 years, then the elected board is gone has to be gone away with? That doesn't make sense. Why would you hold people who are not accountable for the actions of what's happening in the district totally accountable by saying that system does not work when this person's failed to do what they should have done with total operational and managerial control? It makes no sense. So the other issue is that when you have a CEO has total operational managerial control, there's no oversight. So, for example, when there was a superintendent that had control, they had to meet. If they wanted to spend any more than $5,000, they had to get approval from the Board of Education. You don't have that now. So now you say, well, what's going on with all this money? Why we don't get no money? Well, no one knows where the money is being spent because there's no oversight on how there's no checks and balances on how that money is being spent. So when they talk about the monies being associated with like education, under state control since 2010, Youngstown has been the school district in comparable size to other districts that has spent the least amount of money in the classroom since 2010 under state control. So you might have 48 schools that are comparable in size. Youngstown has always been 48, 47th, or 46. And we're 46 now, but it's only 46 schools in comparison in size. So, if the problem is truly academic, why wouldn't the state ensure that those dollars are spent in the classroom?
And not in the furniture store.
Well, the furniture store, or wherever else they selling it, lawyers, the last CEO Mohead spent over $3.5 million in legal fees in 2 years. How? With two attorneys. With two attorneys. What do you need two attorneys for? And by the letter of that law, HB 70, your attorney is a attorney general for the state.
Oh, so it's all working together.
I'm just saying but he's not even using them. He's using an outside firm.
What? So they make money.
So for example, in the city charter, really the law director is supposed to be the lawyer for the school district. However, because of the amount of stuff that goes on, the school district hires an outside attorney. He hires two outside attorneys at the tune of over $3.5 million, and over 2 years have been spent. For what? There's been no new policies introduced. There's been there's no cause for it. But the money's gone. But the money was, it's follow the money. Follow the money.
You don't have no receipts for where the money went?
Hey, no receipts.
Okay. How much furniture do you think you could buy in a year's period?
In the year's period, furniture? I don't know. Furniture shouldn't be an issue in our district.
Right.
You right about that, but
So you must know something.
She knows something.
You must have seen something happen.
The voice of the community has seen something. And we gonna go ahead.
Customer service at said store. Brother, stay out of here. You done bought enough furniture to furnish 2 or 3 houses in less than a year.
Okay then. We done did that. Hey, let me give you these quick Q-tips. Getting what you want. Listen, there's an art to this thing. You must reciprocate. Yes, you must reciprocate. Like I said, if you want the support, you have to give the support. Be consistent. Be committed to what you're doing, and be credible. It is extremely important, and you gotta be confident. Because remember, the consumer smells fear.
All right.
So whatever it is that you're trying to sell or whatever you're trying to get people to buy into, you need to make sure that you know your product and you know what it is that you're trying to do. If you're trying to, you say give hope. What do you do? Inspire. Trying to inspire. What do you do?
Leisure travel.
Leisure travel. Okay, so
all kinds
enjoyment.
Of travel, actually.
So yes, enjoyment. And motivation. We have to be motivated. We have to do what we need to do for ourselves, because guess what? They're watching.
They are.
And it's almost like the singer, the entertainer. Listen, if you don't like your music, how do you expect them? If you're not having a good time delivering it, how do you expect the other people to have a good time? They feed off of that energy. So with that being said, if you don't have that, because I already know when I'm looking and you don't seem confident, I'm like, okay, so when's the apology coming and what's going to be the delay? Okay, well, I can't get my shirts because the distributor didn't see that. It's going to be blah, 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 blah. I don't want those issues. I want my product.
Right.
This is what you're selling. This, you told me the store opened at 9 o'clock. I'm here at 9 o'clock. It's 10 o'clock and you talking about something. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I was late. I had to put somebody on the bus. No!
I'm on the bus.
Handle your business and do what it is that you need to do. So real quick. And you also have to value the proposition, the pitch. How you going to do it? Focus on what it is that you are trying to do. And I always say, here's the question that you need to do before you present anything. Understand that the consumer wants to know how is it going to benefit them. I am going to buy a ticket to your event because it's going to benefit me. I am going to buy a ticket from your traveling agency because it's going to benefit me. I am going to buy a ticket to listen to what you have to say because it's going to benefit me with hope. Okay, so when I go there and I don't get that and you late and you sitting there talking about something, oh, I'm so sorry. Guess what? That's a problem for me. So I'm feeding off of your confidence. So do what it is you have to do to keep yourself hyped and make sure that you focus on your pitch. Your pitch is really important. Again, reciprocate, be consistent, be committed to what it is that you're doing, and be credible. So there's your Q-tips on how to get what you want. Persuade people. Persuasion. Okay, persuasion. So there you have it. Had to put that out there. There is your Q-tips for the day. Wrap this baby up. Go.
Have a great week and happy Halloween. If I can say happy Halloween.
You can say happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween is coming up this weekend.
Okay. Wrap this baby up. What you got? Any last words?
Any last words? Let's see. None that I can think of right now.
All right. Kim Pan, go to girl. Go ahead.
To all of those who are out there dreaming, it is time to wake up, get up, and put up.
Hey.
Or shut up.
I was waiting on that one. I was waiting on that one. Be like, put up or shut up. I remember that one. Today's footnote. A person's most beautiful asset is not a head full of knowledge, but a heart full of love, an ear ready to listen, and a hand willing to help others. So let's join together and let's stop this hue war that we have, and let's love on one another. And business is business. I'll support you if it benefits me. So again, when you ask that question, before you do your pitch, don't ask why. Don't sell yourself and say why. It is how. Remember, the consumer wants to know how, not why. All right? All right, well, that is my time, lovely people. I thoroughly enjoyed you as I do each and every single Saturday. Y'all already know, find you, embrace you, most importantly, always love you. Until next week, people. ShopTalk right here on Spreaker.com.